Hi, I'm Julie and welcome to Still Sassy. Did you know that the right foundation application can transform your wrinkled skin's appearance immediately? It's a true fact that if you have wrinkles, either slight wrinkles or much deeper, then the way you put your foundation on has to change. Now, nobody likes change, but for the best effect, I absolutely urge you to give it a go. You really can get foundation and skin that looks amazing when you have wrinkles. The good news, it's not hard to get glorious skin. It's about technique when you're applying foundation, and I'm here to show you the best way to apply your foundation and the products to use so that you get a lovely, flawless finish. Now, before I go on, if you're liking the content I produce on this channel, I would love it if you could nip down to the button below and subscribe to the channel. And like this video too, that would be really helpful, thanks. So let's get on with applying these products. So as well as having wrinkles, which obviously foundation can settle into, mature skin can be dry. Even if you don't have particularly dry skin when you're younger, it can get drier as you get older. So, stuck record I know, but skincare is really important. And this is important when you're applying foundation, whether you've got many wrinkles or not. Now, I'm doing okay at the moment in the wrinkle department. I have some, but I haven't got loads. But this technique that I'm going to show you will work whatever level of wrinkles you have. Now, I'm not here to give wrinkles a bad rap. Having wrinkles really is a privilege, because getting old is a privilege. If we're not getting old, then what are we doing? We're possibly not here at all. So I want us to embrace our wrinkles as much as we can. I realise that some of you might look in the mirror and, hate those wrinkles on your skin. But we have to acknowledge that that's how our skin is going to look as we get older. And use techniques that are going to help us look the best we can. And with foundation, it's often the settling into the fine lines that gives the cakey sort of look. And that's what we're going to avoid by using the techniques I'm going to show you today. I do get a lot of questions and a lot of messages from older women who are asking what they can do to make their foundation look better, look more flawless, not settle into those lines. And it's interesting because when I ask more questions of them, I usually find that their skincare is not really as up to scratch as it could be. And that's one of the reasons why they're having such problems. So skincare is important. So I've talked about skincare in the past, and I have done a skincare for beginners video, which I'll link in the comments below, which will help you understand what a basic routine looks like. However, if you've done your basic routine a few hours ago and now you're putting makeup on, I always advise that you freshen up the skin again, that you moisturise it again. I would say at the very least, add some hyaluronic acid, followed by a moisturiser, and then of course your sunscreen. Can't forget the sunscreen, no matter what the weather, no matter what the season. Once you've done your skincare, this is the time to address any redness if you have any. I don't tend to get a lot of red, I never flush, I'm pretty much this colour all the time, but I do get a little bit round my nose, and I can see today I've got some poking through there. So to help with that, and if you've got more red than I have, then this will help too. We're going to use a colour corrector, and the colour corrector you want is green, because green is the colour that will sort out your redness. Now, this colour correct is by Revolution, and it's called the Correct and Fix Primer. They do them in other colours as well for other problems that you might be having, but for today we're thinking about red, so we need the green. So I'm just going to put a little bit, it's definitely green, on my nose here. We're just rubbing it in as if it's moisturiser. Hopefully you'll be able to see there how that has corrected the redness under my nose. So you'd use that if you had redness on your cheeks or on your forehead, then you would use the colour corrector there as well. It just really helps. If red skin is really an issue for you, in that you have it all the time, maybe your skin's quite irritated, then you can use something like this, which is the Ren Evercalm. And it's a serum that's anti-redness. There are other makes, but I really like this one. I don't use it on myself quite so much, but I will use it on clients if they've got a lot of redness in their skin. And this can just be part of your skincare routine, so not just when you're putting makeup on like this, to help ease the redness. So we've covered the redness, we've got our skincare on, and now it's time to add a primer. Primers can make all the difference. And when you've got skin that's wrinkled, then a smoothing primer, one that's going to smooth over some of those wrinkles, is what you're looking for. Now for today I'm going to opt for the Shiseido Synchro Skin, which I really enjoy using. This isn't the cheapest option, but you could go for something like the e.l.f. Cosmetics Hydrating Face Primer, which I have had in the past and have used and liked very much. And if you've got very oily skin, then the NYX Pore Filler is a great primer for you. The Synchro Skin that I'm about to use is good for all skin types. Most of these primers are good for all skin types, but just double check. It's mostly a concern if you've got very oily skin that you want to make sure you get the right one. What you're looking for is a primer that's going to blur your skin, that's going to just get them to look a little smoother. When I was young, my brother used to shout at me in the bathroom saying, "How long are you going to be in there putting your makeup on? Are you putting polyfiller in?" And I used to laugh and, well, probably say something rude. However, now that I'm older, I realise that's sort of what I'm doing, putting a bit of polyfiller on. This comes out just white, and I'm just going to rub it in. You don't need a lot, you don't have to overdo it. I've got some lines in my forehead here, so I'll put a little more there. And you're just prepping your skin, you're adding a little bit more moisture, but it's the smoothing effect that we're after. It will just plump up the wrinkles, fill them in a little bit, as well as making a great base for your foundation. It feels really nice, nice and moisturised. Just put a tiny bit more on in the places where I have a little problem, and then that's done. Now at this point I actually quite like to add a bit of glow to my cheeks. It just helps the skin look even more flawless, and the dewiness sort of peeks through your foundation at the end, so it just gives a lovely finish. You can skip this part, you don't need this to get a nice flawless base, but it's just something that I like to do. It just adds a bit of something. I would use a liquid highlighter. I've got the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter here, which I quite like, I'm nearly out of that. I've also got the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin, and this is in the shade Cosmic Rose. The Charlotte Tilbury is in the shade number 4, which is quite light. I also love this, which is a Glossier Future Dew. This is a hybrid glow serum. You can use it as part of your skincare routine, or like what I'm talking about today, just to give some dewy moisture to the skin. I'm actually going to use the Lisa Eldridge one. There are loads of these sorts of things on the market, drugstore and high end, so just pick up whichever you fancy. So I'm just putting it on my cheeks, a little dab on my Cupid's bow, and I'm just going to gently tap that in. So this isn't giving me any coverage at all, it's just giving me a nice little shine in the areas where I want it. Okay, before we put the foundation on, we've got one more job to do, and that is to cover any imperfections on your face that you want to cover. So I'm not talking about the eye area here, and concealing that is different to what I'm going to be doing now. But we're not doing the eyes today, that's going to be a completely different video where I talk about getting a great look underneath the eyes when you're older. So what I'm thinking about here now is the little imperfections we've got on our face that you might want to cover up. You know, I've got a few age spots and a couple of veins that are showing, and to get the flawless foundation we need to cover those up. To do this, just going to use a tiny little brush like this and some sort of concealer or camouflage makeup. I'm using the Laura Mercier Secret Camouflage in shade number 2, and it looks like this. So you've got two colours, you've lighter and slightly dark, and the great thing about this is, although I very rarely use it under my eyes, it's great for this sort of job because you can mix and match these colours depending on your skin tone or, you know, what it is that you're covering up. What you're going to do is take your brush, just dip it lightly into there, whichever shade you think is right at the time, and just very delicately cover anything that you don't want to show through your foundation. I haven't got much that I want to cover, there's just a few things here and there, but you just go around pinpointing and then tapping in with your fingers. So you're not doing a lot, as in you're not putting a lot of coverage on, you're literally putting it where you need it. And you carry on doing that until you're happy that you've pinpoint covered everything that you want to conceal. Now, I know you're probably thinking this looks like a bit of a faff. However, there's no point me pretending that getting flawless skin is just going to happen on its own. It takes some work. Particularly when you've got older and you have got these marks on your face and you have got the wrinkles. To get the flawless foundation, this is what you're going to need to do. If I was just nipping out to the shops or going out with friends, I might not bother doing this some of the time. But if it's a special occasion or I really want to look great that day, then I would. So we've done the pinpoint concealer and next is the foundation. I was just thinking then, because I'm putting more and more on my face, my eyes are starting to look darker and darker. I've got quite dark circles today. Now, lightweight hydrating foundation works well for mature skin, wrinkled skin, and the market's flooded with them, so you're not going to be short for choice. A dewy or satin finish gives a lovely, youthful glow, so that's probably what I would be looking for. Foundations these days usually cater for both skin types, so whether you're oily or dry or combination, you can usually find a foundation that will work for you no matter what. The Now Sheer Glow is good for that. Estee Lauder Double Wear is an oldie but a goodie. It works really well. I've got the Glossier Stretch, which is also very nice. And a firm favourite for many people is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. This one's nearly done. If you're looking for a budget-friendly option, Maybelline's Fit Me Matte and Poreless is lovely. And it works for all skin types. That one is designed actually to control shine and minimise the appearance of pores. But despite the matte label, the formula is lightweight and doesn't stick to any dry patches. So it works for oily and dry skin. Now, because we've done the pinpoint concealer, we can probably use less foundation at this stage, and that's great if you've got wrinkled skin. The more foundation you use, the more chance there is of it just sitting in those wrinkles. And that's what we're trying to avoid. So for this, I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury. I've only got a few squirts left, so I may as well use them today. I always put my foundation on the back of my hand like this, because it gives you much better control than either putting it straight onto a brush or just dribbling it straight onto your face, which some people do. I don't understand that. That would drive me nuts. And then your tool of choice for this is a sponge. This is a damp sponge. I did wet it and I've squeezed it to within an inch of its life, so it is nice and damp but not wet. And what I'm going to do is just take blobs of foundation on my finger and put it where I want it. So just dabbing it along, not putting a lot on initially. You always tend to find you need a bit more around your nose area, regardless of the skin type you have or whether you've got wrinkles or not. So you're just getting some foundation on your skin. Then you're going to take your sponge and just dab in that foundation. This just presses the foundation into your skin and it creates a lovely natural finish. If you've got very deep wrinkles, you want to start slowly and build up. But however your face is with regards to the wrinkles, you don't want to cake the foundation on. That's why I've done all the work beforehand. Now, I always remind people to do the ears. Press it on like you have over your face. And also, of course, take a little bit down onto your neck. Just putting a bit more on around my nose area and just press it in all the places where you would normally put foundation. And we want to get it as close as we can to the hairline, but not into the hair, so just move your hair out of the way, pat it in. I actually do like a brush as well to put foundation on. I regularly use a brush for people that I'm working on, or even on myself, but the more wrinkles you have, the better this technique works. I think that's enough for me. I'm happy with that. I think that looks really nice. Nice and dewy. So now obviously I'd go on and put the rest of my makeup on, but that's not what I'm showing you today. However, I do want to talk about powder. because a lot of people get het up about using powder. They worry it's going to set in their lines, and sometimes it can, and just look a horrible mess. But if you do it carefully, it just tops off that flawless look, and it stops the T-zone becoming greasy and looking horrible by the end of the day. So what I would do is take a small brush, something like this, and a powder, and it is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder, and I would tap a little bit into the lid there, not much at all, and I just tap my small brush in, always a small brush. The big fat brushes just waft powder everywhere, which is not what you want. You won't have control. So I put some on, tap it off, and then I just gently put it where I want it to go, which is my T-zone, forehead, around the nose, and then onto the chin. Now this would go on last if I was putting my full makeup on. I would have done that first and then done the powder at the end, and that would include the under eyes. I'll show you that at a different time, but just so you know, this is where we're putting it, and it is only a small amount. Just gently tapping it on to finish the look, and that just helps that middle section stay looking good as the day goes on. And then what I would do is always spritz my makeup. Many setting sprays these days have a hydrating effect and give a nice dewy look as well, so it's just adding to that nice flawless base. The one I've got here is the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. This is really nicely hydrating. I don't have a lot of this left either. It works well on oily or dry skin, so it's a winner. And effectively, you are just spritzing. Like that. That just hydrates the skin, it helps the powder blend in, and just gives a lovely finish. I have got a few setting sprays that I use, and you don't have to pay a lot for them. This one is more of a high-end setting spray, but you don't need to pay that much. It's just anything that's going to be dewy and keep things in place. I hope you found this video really useful, and you're going to go away and try some of these techniques to help you get that flawless looking skin. Be sure to check out my other videos on makeup application and techniques and tips, and it would be great if you could share your comments below. If you've got any questions, just get into the comments and I'll take a look and get back to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.